Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam, namo namaha, jai Ganesha. Oh, this one is a really exciting one today, folks. This is a principle that came to us thinking about, in general, physics and science and the Hindu yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle. It's really all of those things. The G.E.M principle. If you remember from physics, the basic dynamic forces are gravity, electricity, magnetism, and then they talk of nuclear forces as well. But it's basically from the weakest to the strongest, and we all know how strong is gravity, so how much stronger is electricity and magnetism? G.E.M. So this G.E.M principle that we developed, using it as an acronym here, begins with a simple but profound image. Deep within every human being, there is a gem. In Hindu language, that gem is the Atmana, not your mind. Different than soul, which is still connected to the psyche. The true inner self, the inner reality, the light of consciousness, Satchit Ananda. It's not created by the mind, but revealed when the mind becomes clear. The problem is not that the gem is absent. Very different. The monotheistic religions and Hinduism, that divinity is already resident within all of us. But the problem is that the waters, so-called, have become disturbed. Imagine a diamond resting at the bottom of a clear stream, clear river. When the water's calm, transparent and still, the diamond can easily be seen. It was always there. Nothing new had to be manufactured. Nothing had to be imported from the outside. We didn't have to wait. The river only had to become clear enough for what was already present to shine through. But when the waters are stirred up, muddied, and agitated, the diamond disappears from sight. It has not gone anywhere. It's not been destroyed. It has not lost its brilliance. It is simply hidden by disturbance. This is the human condition. The gem of the Atmana is covered by, in Sanskrit, lobha, krodha, kama, greed, anger, lust. The big three. And also pride, delusion, arrogance, ignorance, egoism. Lobha, krodha, kama, madhamoha, abhimana, vidya, asmita. And these are not merely moral failures, they are obscuring forces. They muddy the river of consciousness. They disturb the mind wave, chitta, so that the person forgets who they truly are. This is why the Saiva Hindus wear the Tripundra, the three horizontal lines of sacred ash, vibhuti. Think of that. Taking BS and refining it into vibhuti, the third pada of the Yoga Sutras. They smear them across the forehead. And it's not decorative simply, it's a teaching. It reminds the devotee that the lower tendencies must be burned. Greed, anger, lust, excessive desire must be reduced to ash through tapas, devotion, knowledge, discipline, living. The Tripundra says, do not merely decorate the ego, burn what hides the Atmana, the true inner self. In this sense, Saiva symbolism points directly to the inner gem. The ash is on the forehead, near the ajna center. Because the true work of human life is not merely outward success, but inward purification. The Tripundra is a visible reminder of the invisible process. Clear the waters, burn the impurities, and behold the Atmana, the shining light within, El Sol, if you will, S-O-L, the red dot, the bindi, the bindu, Puram bindu vajra kurush tutaha, ancient bindu into Hindu, soulful warrior. The Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali, in his classic Yoga Sutras that have been unfortunately very distorted, He gives the famous definition in the second sutra, Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is calming, restraining, or stilling the movements of the mind. Why? Then this occurs. Tara drasta svarupe avastanam. Then one perceives their true nature, which we as Hindus look at as the Atmana. Then one abides in one's own true nature. This is the G.E.M principle in yogic language. When the mind is disturbed, we identify with these disturbances. When the mind becomes calm, we abide in our own svarupa, our true form. The Atmana, the diamond, was always there, but the water had to become clear. So there's a universal lesson here for humanity, is that this teaching can be offered without requiring anyone to adopt any specific religious language. This is respecting things in general. Every human being knows what it means to be clouded by anger, greed, fear, anxiety, craving, jealousy, confusion, etc., etc. Every human being knows what it feels like when the mind becomes muddy. And every human being has also experienced moments of clarity, kindness, courage, creativity, love, and an abiding inner peace. The G.E.M principle says that human life is not merely about adding more things to ourselves. It's more about subtraction, actually, and uncovering what is already there. We do not create the G.E.M, we reveal it. The moral, spiritual, and psychological task is therefore one of purification, alignment, and ascent. We move from heaviness to lightness, from compulsion to love, from instinct to awareness, from scattered energy to radiant consciousness. This is where the acronym G.E.M becomes especially useful. Gravity, electricity, magnetism. G.E.M. These are the dynamic forces in physics, and they can also become a symbolic map of the human being. Gravity is the force of weight, grounding, embodiment, foundation, principles, fundamentals. It also grounds us to the earth. Without gravity, there's no stability, no foundation. But if we live only in gravity, in a sense, we remain bound to the lower impulses, the animal level of existence, and the survival mind, if you will. Electricity suggests movement, current, energy, vitality, feeling, connection. In the human body, this can be associated with the heart. We know that. Energy here begins to move beyond mere survival into relationship. But all the re-words, relationship, remember, reinstate, religion, devotion, courage, compassion, love, all reside there. Now, magnetism suggests attraction, orientation, subtle power, and direction. It points upward toward the head, toward consciousness, intelligence, vision, contemplation, and divine awareness. Magnetism does not merely move, it draws and it aligns. Have fun playing with magnets and the invisible forces in between, for those who don't believe in invisible forces. Thus, in the human body, gravity corresponds to the belly and downward, the rooted, instinctual, animal foundation. We share all of these things with our fellow animals: evacuation, procreation, digestion. Electricity corresponds now to the heart. We know that. The living current literally, of love, when you have a heart attack. And we can flip that around, and devotion, divine experience, is a heart attack of another story. This is about also courage and relational life. It takes a lot of courage to have strong relationships. Now, magnetism corresponds to the head, the magnetic head, the subtle field of awareness, wisdom, and divine orientation. The G.E.M principle, therefore, describes an ascent from gravitational human to electric human to the magnetic human, from instinct, which is important, but to love, to divine consciousness. This is not a rejection of the body and the animal nature. Gravity is necessary. Foundation is necessary. To the Hindus, Ganesha is necessary. His profound symbolism, earthy. But the human being is not meant to remain only at the level of this weight, instinct, appetite, and survival. The human being is meant to ascend, to refine, to awaken, and who knows, our animal friends too ascend to great heights of consciousness. Those who have a deep connection with their animal friends know this, because they too are Atmanauts. Now, the G.E.M hidden in the river is also the G.E.M moving through our body. The same word becomes both image and principle. The hidden G.E.M of the Atmanaut and the dynamics of G.E.M, gravity, electricity, magnetism. Om. This is the threefold movement, seen as OM because that's the way it sounds, but the Sanskrit word is or in English AUM. And this resonates with the sacred syllable Om and the G.E.M principle. It's a map of consciousness. The or A is associated with the waking state, U with the dreaming state, with deep sleep. And we'll go into this a little more at the end. So leave it there for now. And when we look at this G.E.M principle, gravity then becomes the waking state, embodied, earthy condition. Electricity is the subtle movement of inner life, the feeling nature, the dream nature, relational energy. Magnetism is the higher orientation toward consciousness, wisdom, and again, divine awareness. And beyond all three is the fourth, the silent, ungraspable, absolute. Yatovacho nivartante apraptis manasa saha, beyond even the very mind that seeks to comprehend it. If gravity, electricity, and magnetism are the three great dynamic forces, then the fourth may be likened symbolically to the deeper nuclear forces, the black hole, hidden, interior, mysterious, and foundational at a level beyond ordinary perception. Now, this does not mean we are reducing Hindu metaphysics to physics itself. Rather, we are using physics as a teaching analogy here. The outer universe and the inner universe mirror one another. The macrocosm and the microcosm speak in symbolic resonance. Just as the Om moves from sound into silence, the G.E.M principle moves from gravity to electricity to magnetism and finally into the mystery beyond movement. The eye of the storm, the eye of the hurricane, the eye of the whirlpool, conch shell, cochlea, DNA. Now, if we look at the Hindu deities, gravity is Ganapati, the foundation. From this, ascending principle naturally begins. Ganesha is always first. Ganesha is foundational. Ganesha is invoked before beginnings. He's connected with the earth element, with stability, with the root, with the removal of obstacles, the first chakra, and the Om. In the G.E.M principle, Ganesha corresponds to gravity. He's not low in a negative sense. He's foundational. Without gravity, we float away. Without Ganesha and Ganesha consciousness, the symbolism, very important, the path lacks grounding. And of course, without foundation, spirituality becomes a fantasy. Today's New Age yoga. Ganesha teaches that the ascent must begin with humility, steadiness, discipline, rootedness. Before one can rise to electricity and magnetism, one must first stand solid, grounded. The first chakra is not something that's low or even to be despised at the Muladhara, the anal region. It is something to be purified and stabilized. The animal human must not be denied but transformed. The instincts must not be demonized but disciplined. The earth must not be escaped but sanctified. Bhumimata. Thus Ganesha is the gravitational base of the divine human. So, if we look at Saiva Hinduism, for example, and the other two sampradayas, we see this principle played out. Gravity, electricity. Electricity, Murugaskanda, the youthful warrior, at the heart. Magnetism, Shiva and Parvati. Ganesha is always the root, no matter what sampradaya we follow. Because it's the first chakra, it's the earth, it's the foundation, it's the Om, it's gravity itself. It's memory, not forgetting who we are, Tattvamasi. He stabilizes the aspirant and removes obstacles, which is the beginning of any path. Clear the way, clear the obstacles. Forge ahead. Muruga, who's also known as Skanda, Kartikeya, Palani, is the youthful, loving warrior and naturally belongs at the heart. He symbolizes courage, devotion, beauty, discipline, and divine youthful power and love. He's not simply a warrior of violence, he's a warrior of awakened love. Youthful, loving warrior, a goal, no matter what the physical age. He is the electricity of the heart, dynamic, radiant, brave, and compassionate. His mantra, Saravanabhava, recalls his sacred birth in the lake, Saravanabhava, the reed forest. His number is 6, symbolizing integration, balance, and the union of forces, the meeting of the two triangles, Shiva and Shakti, the upward and the downward movements of religious, spiritual life. At the head are Shiva and Parvati, pure consciousness, pure Shakti energy, stillness and power, pure awareness, and divine manifestation. Here the magnetic principle reaches its highest personal expression. Shiva draws the yogi or yogini upward into stillness. Parvati reveals that consciousness is never separated from Shakti. Shiva Shakti, Ardhanarishvara. The head becomes the seat of divine orientation. So, the Saiva G.E.M is Ganesha, grounding. Muruga electrifies the heart. Shiva and Parvati magnetize the consciousness toward the divine. Similarly, in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, Ganesha, of course, is the foundation, remover of obstacles, the grounding force, the gravitational base. At the heart, we could place there Krishna, the youthful, loving, divine one, the flute player, the cowherder, the playful, the profound teacher of love, dharma, divine relationship. Krishna is electric. His presence moves the heart. His flute calls the soul, the Atmana. His lila awakens devotion. At the head are Vishnu and Lakshmi. Preservation, cosmic order, divine majesty, beauty, abundance, and sustaining grace. Vishnu, Lakshmi represent the higher divine order, toward which the heart's devotion is magnetically drawn. Thus, the Vaishnava gem ascent is Ganesha as gravity, Krishna as heart electricity, Vishnu Lakshmi as magnetic divine order. This mapping honors the Vaishnava path while also showing its harmony with the broader Hindu structure of ascent. Foundation, heart, head. Earth, love, divinity. Now, within Vaishnavism, there's another mapping. Of course, again, we always start with Ganesha as the foundation, giving us stability, humility, and grounding. Now we have Hanuman, the youthful, loving warrior at the heart. It's a perfect example of the electric current of devotion. He is strength, service, seva, courage, vira Hanuman, loyalty, humility, and total bhakti. The great karma yogi and the great bhakti yogi, steps 1 and 2. Now, his power is in no way egoic. His strength is surrendered. His heart literally opens to reveal Sita and Ram within. So now in this progression, Sita Ram are the divine head, divine love, dharma, kingship, virtue, fidelity, order. Rama represents dharma embodied, and Sita represents purity, devotion, and divine feminine strength. So, the gem principle can also appear as Ganesha gravity, Hanuman, electrical devotion at the heart, Sitaram as the magnetic ideal of dharma and divine union. This is a beautiful devotional version of the same ascent. The foundation is stabilized, the heart is electrified by bhakti, and the consciousness is magnetized towards dharma. Now, our third sampradaya. Of course, there are many divisions within each of these sampradayas, but basically it's the three. In Shakti Hinduism, of course, Ganesha is a given, since Ganesha is honored across all Hindu traditions as, again, the remover of obstacles and the foundation of beginnings. But within the Shakti triad, we may see Durga as foundational, Lakshmi as heart electricity, and Saraswati as magnetic head. Durga's power, protection, strength, and the warrior. She is the one who confronts the forces of adharma. She's not merely gentle motherhood. She is fierce compassion. She establishes the foundation by defeating the forces that would destroy harmony. In this sense, she is gravitational power. Riding Bengal, the force that grounds, protects, and stabilizes. Lakshmi belongs beautifully at the heart. Notice that she holds the Amritam there, my fellow Hindus. And the money flows down and out, not the other way around. Of course, she represents abundance and beauty, nourishment, grace, prosperity, sweetness, and auspiciousness. Again, she holds the Amritam at the heart. And remember, she's not merely about making money or material wealth, as she's sometimes reduced to by some. She is the electricity of the heart's flourishing, the current of life that makes existence beautiful, and then generous and sustaining. Saraswati belongs naturally to the head. She is wisdom, speech, Vach and Vak, music, learning, mantra, insight, refined consciousness. Hindu children all pray to Ma Saraswati before exams, of course. She is magnetic intelligence. She draws the awareness into clarity, into knowledge, into art, sacred expression. Thus, the Shakti G.E.M ascent becomes Durga grounding, with Ganesha as understood. Lakshmi electrifies the heart with beauty and nourishment, and Saraswati magnetizes the head toward wisdom and sacred speech. Now again, this is not merely theology, if you will. It's a map of inner development. The human being must become strong in this sense like Durga, loving and generous like Lakshmi, and wise like Saraswati. Now, there's something very interesting here in the Shakti Dharma because we get a cosmic arc, if you will. I mean, remember when we speak of Kali, Durga, and Parvati, they're all manifestations of the same Ma Parvati, whose son, obviously, is Mahaganapati. Again, he's just a given here. Now notice that our G.E.M principle naturally moves from the earth up toward the divine. The Shakta cosmic view allows us, however, to begin before creation, before the earth, before form, before manifestation. Before creation there is the no-thingness, not nothing, but no-thingness, the vast blackness, 95% of the universe, also represented by the Shiva Lingam. The mystery beyond Nam and Rup, name and form. This may be symbolized by Ma Kali. Very misunderstood. She's not simply destruction in a very crude sense. She's time itself, timeless, darkness, dissolution, and the womb of the unmanifest. The blackness before creation and after dissolution. The Turiya state, before and after the Om, the deep sleep, waking, deep sleep. We all do it every day. Sometimes she seems terrifying to many. But the compassionate truth is that all forms arise and all forms pass away. From this no-thingness comes creation. The great bursting forth, Bri, Brahman, to expand. The cosmic emergence, the divine power of manifestation, then becomes symbolized by Durga Ma. Many arms, many colors, riding Bengal. She then becomes the power that takes form, the energy that acts, the force that enters the field of battle in creation. Then creation evolves through billions of years, refines and becomes relational, devotional, and epitomized by the beauty of Parvati Ma, the mountain daughter, Shailaputri, the consort of Mahadev Shiva, the mother of Ganesha and Muruga, the one whose Shakti becomes intimate, familiar, devotional, and very yogic. So, another Shakti sequence here is before creation Kali Ma, the no-thingness, Durga Ma, the big bang of creation, if you will, the great emergence, Parvati Ma, the evolutionary unfolding of divine life. In this vision, Shaktiism gives us not only an ascent from body to heart to head, but a cosmic arc from unmanifest mystery into creation and then into conscious divine relationship. The unity of the Sampradayas is very important. Yes, there has been strife over time to this very day. But Saiva, Vaishnava, Shakta traditions each have their own integrity, their own language, so to speak, practices, deities, scriptures, devotional moods. This should never be flattened into a vague universalism where everything becomes the same. That would be a loss of sacred specificity. But neither should they be seen as unrelated fragments creating negative sectarianism. Remember, Swami Vivekananda said, sex, meaning S-E-C-T-S. Sex there will be, but sectarianism, negativity, right, need not be. These sampradayas are the great river of Hindu Dharma. If we look deeply, each reveals a pattern of foundation, heart, divine orientation. They all reveal the same deep truth. The human being must be grounded, We must awaken the heart and orient towards the divine. Atmadashana paramudhama. The G.E.M principle, therefore, becomes a way of honoring difference while recognizing pattern. It is not a New Age universalist, quote, all paths are the same, unquote. It's much more precise than that. It says, the Sampradayas have distinct forms. Every religion has distinct forms. But they often reveal a shared structure of ascent, purification, devotion, wisdom, and realization. If you think deeply, you can find this in the other religious traditions of the world too, to be respected for their specifics. Never confuse generalities and specifics. A huge mistake. This ultimate principle of G.E.M is all about transformation. Again, gravity represents the animal-human foundation, survival, appetite, instinct, weight, embodiment, earthiness. Electricity represents the awakening human heart. Love, courage, devotion, relationship, service, and emotional refinement. It's one thing to have a highly developed IQ, but what about your EQ? Equally important. Magnetism represents the divine human orientation. Wisdom, contemplation, subtle awareness, mantras, vision, and union with the highest. But even magnetism is not the final word. Beyond G.E.M, remember, is the fourth. The silence beyond Om, the Turiya. Beyond waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Beyond animal, human, divine. Om Tat. Beyond the dynamic forces, we have the absolute ground. That's what's eternal. No thing is eternal. Beyond the seen G.E.M is the mystery of the light by which the G.E.M is seen. This is why Hindu Dharma never simply stops at psychology, morality, social improvement alone. These are important, but they're not the end. The end is realization. The end is the seer abiding in its own true nature, becoming the diamond, which a little reflection shows that that's produced after a lot of tapas, a lot of sadhana on a rough piece of coal. In the end, the Atmana is recognized and fully experienced. Intellectualizing it is one thing, experiencing it is another. The G.E.M is not merely a better personality, nor merely emotional health, physical prowess, success in the world. The G.E.M is the true self. So never forget the foundation of Mahaganapati. Remove the obstacles. Clear the river. When greed arises, the river becomes muddy. When anger takes over, the river becomes turbulent. When desire dominates, the river becomes clouded. When ego insists on ruling, the diamond disappears from view temporarily. But when the waters again become calm through sadhana, devotion, seva, discrimination, vivek, mantra, prayer, contemplation, self-restraint, yama, niyama, something extraordinary begins to happen. Instead of becoming something artificial, superficial, we become more truly ourselves. The gem shines. This is why Patanjali's teaching remains eternally relevant. Remember, my friend, yoga, this much misaligned and misused word today, which per se has nothing to do with the physical body, though the body is important, but that's not supposed to be on display. Hatha vidya bhaviryavate guya nivedatu prakash avaranam. Yoga samskritamasi yujatman brahman cha. To yoke to your atmana and brahman. And the way Hindus do this is by the classic yogas: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga, in that order. And within those, hatha yoga, mantra yoga, japa yoga, nada yoga, natha yoga, kundalini yoga. So yoga, of course, is not merely stretching. It's not simply a wellness routine. It's not merely about relaxation. It's about stilling the mind so that the seer can abide in its own true nature. Svarupe avastanam. This GEM principle, then, is therefore a bridge from physics to metaphysics, from body to divine spirit, from psychology to sadhana, from the general human condition to deep realization, from the hidden gem to the revealed atmana. So it was always there. And our human journey is not merely a climb from nothing to something, something to nothing. It is the revelation of what was always there. The divine was never absent. It's not waiting to come again. It's just that the waters of our own mind, that's why, thankfully, the Atmana is not the mind. The waters of the mind become disturbed and muddy by lobha, krodha, kama. And the solution to that is dana dayadvam damyata. Be giving, be compassionate, be controlled. Now, looking at our sampradayas, we need to respect the different gurus, the different sampradayas. So obviously we're coming from a Saiva perspective. If you want to go more deeply into Vaishnavism, you need to go to a Vaishnava guru. More deeply into the Shakti Sampradaya, you need to go to a Guru Ma that follows the Shakti tradition. This is respectful. So in Saivism, we obviously have the wisdom of Ganapati, which stretches across the Sampradayas. But then the Muruga at the heart, very, very important. For Saivas to go then from Ganesha to Muruganji at the heart and find that youthful, loving warrior. Very complex. Not as well known, perhaps, as other deities. That's probably because Muruga is very popular in the south of India, and they were the last ones to go around the world. Of course, known as Kartikeya by many in the north, but very relevant to today's so-called yoga, for example, and Patanjali, Yoga Sutras, because Muruga, one of his names is Sanmukhanada, the six-headed deity, six-faced deity, Sanmukhanada, and he is considered the inspiration behind what we call the Shad Darshanas. In any book on comparative religions, the six orthodox systems of Hindu philosophy: Nyaya, Visesaka, Mimamsa, Vedanta, Sankhya, and Yoga. The Yoga Darshan of the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali. Why is he the inspiration? Because he's a heart chakra deity like Krishna and Hanuman. Youthful, loving warrior. That epitomizes a philosopher. Philos is love, a lover of knowledge, but one also has a warrior spirit. Sanmukhanada. profound symbolism of the number 6, which also becomes his 6-syllabled mantra. Sa, ra, va, na, bha, va. Sarvana bhava. Sarvana bhava Om. Like Namah Shivaya to Shiva. And Sarvana bhava is mystically the name of the cosmic lake wherein he was born. Profound symbolism here of the stories which are teaching lessons for what's going on inside of us. When we go up the chakras, first chakra is earth element at the anal region, second chakra water element, Svadhisthana, third chakra fire element at Manipura. This is inside of us. This is the reality within us. Earth, water, fire. And then the heart is obviously the air element. Earth, water, fire, air. So how do you get to the heart? Well, you have to start with the earth, Ganapati. Second chakra, water. That's representative of Ma Parvati. The feminine forces are always the Udaka, the water element. And then the fire-bound Rudra, that's Shiva. And what happens logically in life when you bring males and females together? Birth of children. Within yourself, when you give birth to the child of the Atmana, when you bring together the water of the second chakra, having a good foundation, earthy, grounded, taking life seriously, but not too seriously. The waters of reflection. Remember, water is nature's mirror as we reflect and think deeply. And our feminine nature, the water, combine that with the masculine nature. That will open up into the heart. And this is why we see the ancient Shadkonam, which the Jewish people also used, the Star of David, most known in that way, but many don't realize this was found prior in Hinduism. And look at it. It's the bringing together of the downward triangle and the upward triangle. The downward's always the water. The up is the fire. When you bring them together, you get the birth of the heart chakra, or the birth of Muruga, Skanda Muruga. Earth and water. And obviously now you have 6 points of contact. It's such beautiful, profound symbolic wisdom here. Sadhavana Bhava. And he's also considered a cosmic deity, as he was nursed by 6 mothers, the Kritikas, which is the constellation Pleiades that we see at the Skanda Shasti time in the fall very vividly in the southern sky. So profound, profound wisdom. And this is very personal to me because my guru was a Muruga devotee, K.P. Subramanya Swami. From Fiji, born in Tamil Nadu, but brought over under the indentured servant system, his parents, as a young boy, to the island of Fiji. A whole profound lesson there. Listen to our video podcast on colonization and sailing out of India. And my guru built a beautiful shrine that had 6 sides to it for Muruga on the largest hill on the island of Lambasa in Fiji. He was on fire for Muruga from a little boy. And briefly, he was extremely ill, had dysentery, was almost thought to be given up for dead, and what was to become his Swami came to him, did prayers, and actually told his mother to change his name to Subramanyam, and everything would be okay. And he liked to retell this story and said, from that point on, I was on fire for Muruga, 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 Muruga. Much more to the story, but beautiful, inspirational story of being totally devoted, bhakti, to one or more of these Hindu deities. Veil, veil, Muruga. And the veil represents your spine as we go up the spine. Primal spear. Notice in Hinduism we keep all of these primal things, animals, spears, tridents, right up into our modern world. We don't discard any of it. There's great wisdom there. As we go up the spine, veil, veil. Shakti, veil, and the spear we pierce through, like the point of this spear, the veil, into the inner states of consciousness. Muruganji is very close to the yogis, Sadhavana Bhava, the youthful, loving warrior. So let's take a moment now and look at Shiva. And there are many aspects of Shiva for all the Saiva Hindus. Very much associated with Hatha Yoga because as Yogi Raj, he epitomizes the Hatha Yogi. And all the classic texts on Hatha Yoga all begin with adoration to Adinada, which is also Shiva. Adi Yogi, Adinada. And in these classic texts, they speak of Hatha Yoga as the only one of our classic Hindu yogas. Karma Bhakti Raja Jnana, Mantra Japa Nada Nada, Nata. The only one they said, don't display this one, please. And obviously, Hindus and non-Hindus didn't listen to this advice or haven't heard it. The Hindus have, but the non-Hindus didn't hear it or want to hear it because they knew it would be misused because it does deal with the physical body. And hence we have the very disgraceful so-called yoga of today, hot yoga, power yoga, doggy yoga, blah, blah, blah. And all the scandals that have gone along with it. Do your own homework. We have many podcasts there about these travesties. So in Shiva, remember, we want to look at ourselves as a united Hindu family, Saiva, Vaishnava, Shakti, the three. Let us live in harmony and follow the dharma and plant your yoga tree. Because we all do karma, bhakti, raja, yani. But Shiva is a very complex image. And again, personally, this was my first encounter being brought up in the West with seeing any Hindu deities was Nataraja, the divine dancer. As Tirumular said, with burning ashes smeared thick, at his feet my garland plated with love's incense, I lay the divine dancer. And no, that form is actually found outside of CERN in Europe, where they do the great particle acceleration testing. Right? So here is bringing together science and the Hindu religion in this case. Beautiful, profound symbolism there. Creator, preserver, destroyer, concealing, revealing, pointing the way, dancing through this fire, this ring of fire that is life. The first word of the Rig Veda, Agni Mile, praise the fire. Shiva is fire, Rudra, fire, pure fire. No fire, no life, my friends. We live on a fire planet. We're only here because of Surya and Chandra, the sun and the moon aligned together, and we have a fire inside of us, the Atmana. Once that Atmana leaves the physical body, what does it do? It becomes cold and rigid and stiff and dark. The fire of life. And it's neutral. We have to be careful what we do with it. We can cook our food or we can burn down somebody's house. Great metaphor for all the Shakti of life. It's our choice what we do with it. Many expressions. So as Yogi Raj, in deep contemplation, just remaining all by yourself. So in the Shiva family here, it's showing us also two things, that if you choose to be a sannyasin, then be like Mahadev Yogi Raj. Be content to be alone. That's the true yogis and yoginis. Those are renunciates off the grid. And there's also a great wisdom in Mauna Vakyapada Brahman. You understand? Yeah, we do a lot of talking, but the real realization begins when we stop talking. So obviously we have to continue, but I think you understand. Dakshinamurti, the silent sage. And then we're also bringing together, ultimately, the male and the female in our one body, understanding our left and right brain, Pingala Ida, respectively. But there's another profound wisdom here. If we choose to become grahastas or family people, then stay together to the best of your ability. So the Shiva family is always what it is. It's always Mahadev, Parvati, and their two sons, Ganapati and Muruganji. And then remember, it's your duty, Hindus, to stand up and protect the Dharma. Just like Nandi is. And remember that at the core of existence is that absolute no thingness we spoke of, represented by Kalima and also the Shiva Lingam. That nothingness that's the fullness of everything. And remember that in this dance of life, it can be very peaceful, shanti, but it can also be very aggressive, assertive at times. And there's a time in life to be assertive and aggressive. Hindus. Don't let people continue to steal from you. We're not advocating violence in any way, but speak up. Vairabhya, the transformer. Speak up. Don't let others just steal the Dharma. Because we're all in this together as we go from untruth to truth, ignorance to enlightenment. It's up to us to do our own sadhanas. Sit quietly every day. And we go over so much. There's so many slokas, so many scriptures and shastras. But even in the Vedas itself, it says just simply know the Om. And you'll have deep, deep realizations. Because it's bringing together your animal, human, divine nature, your waking, dreaming, dreamless state. Follow the G.E.M principle. Follow your sampradaya. Feel it. Intellectually, we've gotten the knowledge here, but now experientially. Do this. Chant your mantras. Manna trayate iti mantraha. Because these mantras connect. Trayate. Your awareness to the Atmana. This is the goal of yoga. Yujatman Brahman Cha. Aum. Feel it. Aum. Turiya. Vaishvanara Tejasya Prajna. So you could say up in the morning, Ganapati Bama Saha, Pavati Muruganum Nama Shivaya, Shivaya Nama Woo, day by day, follow the Dharma. Or Anupati Ushatkala, Ganapati Upanashaha, Krishna Vishnu Lakshmi Om Namo Narayana, Namo Narayana, Dve Dharma Bharyo. Up in the morning, Ganapati Bamasaha, Hanuman Sitaram, O Ram Ram Sitaram, Ram Ram Sitaram. Day by day, follow the Dharma. Or Anupati Ushakala, Ganapati Upanashad, Durga Lakshmi Saraswati, O Kali Durga, Parvati, Dve Dharma Bharyo. Sarva Hindus, all Hindus do Karma Bhakti Raja, Jnana Hatha, Mantra Japa Naranata, because it's Yoga Dharma and it's Hindu Dharma. Pade Pade, step by step. Follow the Dharma, Om Pade Pade, Dharma Bharyo. Om Shanti 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 Om.